I am a planner. I like to know what's going on at all times. I'm also not very good with spontaneous changes of plans. Adam can attest to this. It's just a thing. I don't do well with change. So in this gospel story, Joseph has to deal with a lot of changes. Joseph has a dream that he needs to pack up his stuff and his family and flee. He and Mary had just had this baby, and the Magi had come and gone. Herod was trying to commit genocide against all the baby boys of Jewish descent in his region. Joseph has to take care of his family. They have to go. This is a major disruption from what he thought his life was going to be like over the next couple of years. He knew from what Gabriel had told him that his son was going to be a major player in the grand scheme of things later on in his life. But Joseph probably never thought that he would have to evacuate to save his family. So this is far from the first time or last time that anyone had tried to commit genocide against the Jewish people. It started even as far back as the Exodus story, when they were fleeing Egypt and the wrath of the Pharaoh at the time. So Joseph had known that the threat of genocide was always present. But did it have to be now? Against his family? Joseph has this dream. They leave for Egypt. They are safe for now. They are refugees, but they're safe. He and Mary and their quickly burgeoning family are living their lives, doing the best they can for 3 years. And then Joseph gets another dream. The threat's over where they used to live because Herod is dead. So they trudge back home, but they still can't go home. Herod's son is still there. The threat is still something that they're scared about, for good reason. So now they live in Nazareth and end up fulfilling a prophecy, coincidentally. So Joseph and Mary and Jesus had an abrupt change of plans with how they thought their lives would go. Life back then was not easy, by any stretch of the imagination. My guess is that Mary and Joseph were totally content, just raising their kids into the Jewish customs of the time, and living a quiet life that honors God. But God had other plans for how he wanted to use those two. The thing that strikes me about this story is that while God did not cause the awful things that Herod did, which caused his family to flee, he did use their relocation and coming back to put them in a position to be the most useful. So just some backstory. Nazareth was not exactly wealthy at the time that Jesus lived there. Archaeologists have uncovered one bathhouse that was most likely used as a mikveh. And just so you know, a mikveh is the predecessor for our baptism ceremony. It's a bathhouse used for ceremonial and spiritual cleansing. And the archaeologists estimate that given how many houses they found, there were, at maximum, about 500 people living there at the time. So it was most likely a pretty economically depressed town. Mary, Joseph, and their family would have had a really hard time. So Joseph was a craftsman, most likely a bricklayer, mosaic maker, something of that type. Most of the people that lived in Nazareth worked in the neighboring city, Zippori, which was a lot more affluent. Nazareth was the workforce that Zippori pulled from for laborers, servants, and the like. So not only were they living in poverty, or near poverty, they were most likely marginalized because of where they lived and what they believed. They lived in Roman-occupied Israel. Jesus, divine as he was, grew up on the margins of society. As one result of that, my guess is that growing up on the margins shaped how Jesus saw things. Yes, he was the Son of God, so he would have divine inspiration. Of course. Yet, God was still able to use the experiences of living on the margins to the betterment of Jesus' ministry. The end result of Joseph's dream and the drastic change in life plans was that Jesus had a good solid basis for his ministry and teaching. One of the major challenges of teaching, as Jesus did, is that the teacher needs to connect with their students on a personal level to make any sort of difference at all. Coming from a lower socioeconomic class probably helped Jesus be a lot more approachable to most people than someone of nobility would have been. So, while God did not cause the reason behind them having to flee, all of those life experiences gave Jesus a broad lens with which he could change people's hearts. Perhaps that is how the unexpected evacuation of Joseph's family to Egypt and relocation to Nazareth placed Jesus in a place where God could use him in the most surprising of ways. To raise up a Messiah who is on the side of the oppressed and the persecuted, to usher in the upside-down kinship of God. So, like Mary and Joseph and Jesus, have you found yourself in unexpected places that disrupted the plans you had made for yourself? Ask yourself how God is using you in this unexpected place. Are you open to the ways God would like to work within you in this unforeseen place?